In this video, I'd like to talk about the Get Organized assignment. This is really important that your group get together quickly and get yourselves organized as a group. The way that we're going to manage communications this semester is by using Slack. Slack's a freemium type communication tool. Have no problem with your groups this semester to create a Slack channel and start using it for your communications. That's one of the first assignments I would like you to do. And in this semester, well, I'd like you to invite me to your Slack channel and invite my graduate assistant. Be sure to get our emails correctly, as my graduate assistant might change from semester to semester. Also, please note my Gmail as the channel, as the email I would like you to invite me to. To get credit for this assignment, you need to make sure that I'm invited to your channel and that I can start communicating with you through Slack. What I'd like you to do as part of this team, as a part of this project, as part of getting organized, is to also identify your roles. Read through this assignment, Getting Organized, carefully, and to make sure that you don't miss anything. But just a few highlights. Project managers have been assigned. There will be an email that will sent out or has been sent out sharing with you who the project managers are this semester. After you are able to start communicating and identifying opportunities and times to meet as a group, I'd like you to create your Slack channel. Once you've got everybody in your Slack channel, one of the first things you need to do is identify a few other roles as part of your project. The roles are listed here in this assignment. I've also identified the responsibilities tied to those roles. Project management role, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is leading as what I could call a servant leader, someone who helps make sure things stay on task, organizes, and has a few other roles that they'll be communicating with myself or my graduate assistant. But I'd also like you to create the role of a communications manager. This individual is responsible for all communications with your client. Please identify someone in the group who will be very timely and is very forward about making sure communications happen. Your clients will need to be pushed at times to get responses back to you. That will be on your communications manager. I strongly recommend this individual build a personal relationship with your client and make sure that they're able to capture either their cell phone, texting, etc., etc., etc. Finding multiple ways to make sure that they can reach out to your client. Asking your client how they'd like to be contacted and what's the best way to reach them is an important thing you ought to do. But note the email that I would like you to use for communications. In this case, any communication coming from the communications manager to your client needs to make sure it has my email address CC'd on it. You need to make sure that I'm CC'd on all of your communications, while your client may or may not CC me back. Some of your assignments this semester are actually me getting those emails that you've sent to your client. Communications managers need to keep note that I sometimes create assignments for communications to be done by 5 p.m. rather opposed to be 11:59. I would like you to do your best to communicate during business hours when possible. The other role that's created is the document manager. This should be someone who's very well organized and creative. I recommend this individual be responsible for a number of things. One of the main things being that at the end of the semester, you're responsible for delivering an organized folder or content to your client of everything you've done. And when I say everything, it's every type of collateral piece that you've created, whether it's brainstorming or actual production. You need to organize that. Presentations, all of that, any sort of video, the raw files, all of that needs to be organized and delivered to your client and myself for a lot of points at the end of the semester. So the document manager is someone who's organized. Make sure that all of that stays organized and is delivered in a great, feasible, organized way to your client. The other assignments that I kind of recommend the document manager for, because we've gone through this in past semesters, Groups sometimes fail to deliver an assignment and the entire group suffers when it might have been a single individual's responsibility. I recommend your document manager be that individual who either turns everything in or oversees making sure everything gets turned in on time and obviously looks good. That's the other part of the creativity. Making sure that assignments and formatting and design and the look of the group and the branding of the group is well represented. So that might be, that's not required, but I think that's a useful suggestion that I have because I have had entire groups suffer because an individual was not on the ball. And that can be tough. It can create some very tough dynamics within the group. Now, as you identify these roles, I'm asking for volunteers, but in the end, if there is no volunteers, project managers will need to select someone in their group. The last thing I want to make sure you do is make sure you look through this last part here. Is you created your roles. When you're inside your Slack channel and you've got your name there, will you please put the initials of your role within Slack? So if you're the project manager, put parentheses PM, CM. I've got an example of that here highlighted in the assignment. Okay, so getting organized is getting your roles identified, getting yourself identified in Slack, getting the entire team on Slack. Again, give your team a name, change your Slack channel to that name. It just helps because then they're not all the same, and I can kind of scroll through them a little bit quicker. And then start discussing through Slack. Maybe all of you add your individual questions you created into the Slack channel and start brainstorming a little bit about what you know about your client and look them up on LinkedIn and kind of just start exploring a little bit about what you can learn about your client's situation. So that's what I'm looking for in completion of the Get Organized assignment. This is something that needs to happen fairly quickly. If you're in my online class, please take note that this happens very, very quickly this week, making sure that this gets kicked off and groups get formed and our clients get notification very quickly, which you'll hear in a different subsequent email or a subsequent video.